Our topic today is going to be minding the midline. So according to my teacher, I just did my training. So we're referring to, I'm going to go ahead and mute you guys so I can talk over that. So according to my teacher, the midline of the body, right, is the area of our spine, our nervous system, also includes like our pelvic floor and the crown of the head, like this whole center of the body. And he calls it the pathway to spirit, meaning that it helps us both connect to our world here, our earthly existence, but also to the divine part of ourselves. So the tailbone is what connects us to the earth. It's like our grounding tool. And then the crown of the head is our connection up skyward. So the center channel is our pathway to spirit. And so what we're going to do is like a lot of work, like we'll focus on the midline, but then we're going to take poses where we go off the midline. And when we go off the midline, then we become asymmetrical, right? So when we're on the midline, our body is more symmetrical. When we go off the midline, it becomes, more unstable, right? So when we're in midline, whether say we're in Shavasana or Tadasana, standing in mountain pose, we're very stable. And as soon as we go off the midline, we become less stable. So I'm going to encourage you to kind of, honor your own body, your own practice, and notice when going off the midline maybe is not the right choice, and kind of working with your practice to decide when is it okay to go off the midline, when is it not. So we'll be working with those concepts in our practice. We're going to come on our backs. You will need blocks and a strap. And if you want like a blanket for your knees or Shavasana, maybe a pillow to sit on, make sure you have all those things. And then I will meet you on the mat. So go ahead and come down onto your backs. And you could either have your legs out straight or feet flat, either way. But what we're looking for is for the spine to be in a neutral position. So when we're on our backs, of course, the spine is in its most neutral position, and we're in our most symmetrical. We're also very safe, right? Not too much is going to be risky when we're here in Shavasana. And that's what allows our body to relax when we are in that place of safety. So we're going to take a few moments just to start to focus on our breathing. And we're going to take our awareness down to the area of the tailbone, so that connection to earth. And then we inhale our awareness up the tailbone, up through the spine, all the way to the top of the head. And then as we exhale, back down the central channel and back out through the tailbone. So see if you can start to visualize that. Inhaling up your spine and exhaling down your spine. And as you do that, starting to let your belly rise and fall, so we get a nice, diaphragmatic breathing here. And start to let your awareness really rest in that central channel of the body. So the yogis say that this central channel, of course, houses our spinal cord, our nervous system. But as we go layer by layer a little deeper, they talk about a mythical cord of light, like a little tiny thread of light right through the center of our spine. So we could just imagine that little cord of light right in the center of our spine. It's like a thread. That's how fine it is. And let's take about 5 more cycles of breath there. I'm just going to share a little quote with you. So this was something that was shared during our training. So the central channel is as slender as the stem of a lotus. And if one meditates on the inner vacuity of this channel, it helps in revealing the divine. So it's getting really subtle with our awareness to this little tiny place in the center of our spine. All right. So we're going to take a couple moments now to continue to work along the midline. So if you have a pillow under your head, we're going to take that out, set it to the side. Let's take a full body stretch. So there we're still on the midline. And then we're going to bring the right knee in and give it a squeeze. Now we're still on the midline, but now maybe not so symmetrical. Now, if we be doing this standing up, we might feel a little less stable, a little less safe. But here on the back, we can bring the knee into the chest. We can be asymmetrical and we're still pretty good. Let's try the other side. Inhale, arms reach, starting out nice and easy. Exhale, bring that knee into your chest. All right, inhale, reach the arms. And as you exhale, bring that knee into the chest again. And this time we're going to grab our strap and take the strap around the foot. And actually, I forgot that we're doing this first. So if you want to have your pillow for this part, you certainly could. We're going to do a little bit of somatic movement then that we won't be using it. So feel free to keep it in if you like. Okay, so one leg is up. We're in like a little bit of a hamstring stretch. We're asymmetrical, but we're still on the midline. Go ahead and reach up through your heels, spread your toes, and try to let your shoulders stay relaxed down toward the floor. So we don't want to hunch the shoulders up away from the floor. All right, so we're going to take that strap just into your right hand and put your left hand somewhere on the left side of your body. Maybe your hip, maybe your rib cage, maybe your thigh. And we're going to take an inhale, and as we exhale, that right leg is going to go off the midline. So we're going to take it out to the right. But let's see if we can keep that left side of the body on the midline. So notice, does that left side of the body pop up? See if you can keep it down. So only the right leg is going off, well, the right arm too. The left side of the body is staying where it is, and we're going really slowly. So just a little bit at a time until you reach your maximum range of motion here without lifting the left side. And then we're going to come up through center and change hands. Bring the strap into your left hand. Take your right hand to your right thigh and your hip crease and press that thigh a little forward so that our hips are on the same level, same line. Take an inhale, and as you exhale, now we're going across the midline over to the left. Start to take that leg over to the left. You can pause, keeping that left side of the body on the ground. Now, if you want, you can go more off the midline and roll all the way over onto your left hip and let that right leg come more to the side. So take your choice, either stay kind of with that left side of the body grounded or roll to the left side of your hip, left side of your leg, and left side of your foot. From here, push out through your right foot, your right heel, and use your right hand to draw your hip away from you. So roll that hip toward the bottom foot. Okay, go ahead and come up and then release, and we'll switch sides. So bring the other foot up into the strap. And you can either keep that right leg bent for now or straighten it out. And we're back on the midline. Some things that help us find the midline is hugging towards center. So we hug our inner thighs in towards each other, and that helps us kind of stay more neutral in our pelvis. Take your strap into your left hand, and now right side of the body stays really grounded and go super slow. Just let that leg come out to the left. If your right side of the body starts to lift, you're going to stop and ground it again. Ground that right side. So only the left arm and leg are going off the midline. You can keep going as far as you like, but don't lift the right side of the body up. Okay, go ahead and bring that leg back up, switch hands. And then left hand presses your thigh a little forward. So your hips kind of seem like they're in line with each other. We'll take an inhale. As we exhale, start to drop that leg part way. And here's where we could stay. Right leg is still in the midline, or we're going to roll all the way over to that right hip. And we're coming off that midline even more. And then you can still press that left thigh away from you. Just helps give a little more length to the left side of your hip and your waist. And then slowly come up and we'll release. So set that strap to the side. And now we'll take that pillow out from underneath your head and place your hands behind the back of your head. Okay, so we're going to do our arch and curls today. So as you inhale, you're going to arch your spine away from the ground. So you're kind of tipping your tailbone forward. And as you exhale, you're going to curl up. Lift your head, chest, and shoulders. Lift your tailbone. Press into the lower back. And then come down. Inhale, arch. Exhale, come up. And now we're working on the midline again. Inhale, arch, and exhale, come up. Try to get your shoulder blades off the ground. And this is, of course, strengthening for our core muscles. Keep it going, but now extend your right leg up straight as you come up. And then come down. Inhale, arch your spine. Exhale, left leg up. Now we're still on the midline, but we're more asymmetrical. So keep that going. And I'm just getting a little more into hamstrings because we'll need that for a pose later when we do our standing work. So keep going. Every time you lift up, press your lower back into the ground. And that helps us turn on the lower abdominal muscles, the transverse abdominis. Really important muscle for helping us stay on the midline. One more each side. Good. And then just pause for a moment. Let your arms come down at your side. Let them relax. Take a couple breaths into your belly. We're going to do one more thing here before we come up. So we're going to repeat a similar exercise, but now we're going to cross the midline. So hands behind your head again. Inhale, arch your back. Exhale, bring your right elbow towards your left knee. You're going to squeeze across the midline. Inhale, come down and arch. Exhale to the other side. And now keep that going. And if you want, you could extend that leg up straight. So decide if that feels like too much, you could keep it down and just keep the knee bent. Let's do a few more like this. One more on each side. And then we're going to release. Let the arms come down, let the legs slide out. And just have a moment here again on the ground in your symmetrical Shavasana pose. All right, so we're going to come up now. Bring your knees into your chest, and we're going to roll to the side. And we're going to come on up. Let me just see here. We're going to just come right into tabletop pose. All fours. So tabletop pose is another pose where we're right on the midline. So everything's symmetrical, not very risky other than maybe that weight on our wrists. So let's do our cat-cows here. Take an inhale, exhale, round your spine. And then inhale, looking forward, lifting your sit bones, lifting your gaze. Exhale, round. Now, as we continue a few more rounds, can you be aware of not wobbling off the midline. So it's challenging. We've got to use a little more control. Try not to let your body sway as you move through these two poses. It might mean we have to slow down a little bit or use a little more control. Let's do one more cycle. After this next exhale, come into neutral and we'll move back into a child's pose. So move your hips back, stretch your arms forward, or stack your hands underneath your head. Still on the midline here. Okay, from here, we're gonna go off to the right. So now we're off the midline. Walk your hands over to the right. And you're gonna let your left hand slide a little more forward and bring your right hand back a little bit and let your head drop toward the floor. As you do this, press into your left palm and pull your left sit bone back away from that palm. Get a nice stretch through the side body. And then we're gonna release that and do it on the other side. So come back, walking through the center, and then over to the other side. So really reach through the right arm, bring the left palm back part way, and then reach your sit bone back away from your palm, just to get that nice lengthening quality through the side body. Hold there, one more breath. And then we're gonna release and come back through the center. All right, so we're gonna come back up into tabletop pose. And this time you're gonna find your blocks. Place your hands on your blocks. And we're gonna step forward with the right foot, coming into our lunge. All right, so when we're in our lunge, we're still on our midline, but we're not symmetrical, right? We've got one leg forward, one leg back. So we might feel a little wobbly. We're gonna bring our hands up onto our front thigh and then try to stabilize by hugging to the midline. Hugging to the midline, we draw our inner thighs in, firm our outer hips, and then bring our awareness to that central channel of the spine. So standing up nice and tall through the spine, root down through your feet, and really lift through the back of your skull. From here, we're gonna keep the right hand down on the thigh, reach the left hand up. So again, a little asymmetrical. Inhale here, reach that left arm nice and high. And as you exhale, we're gonna see if we can bring the forearm over onto your right thigh. We come into a twist. Good, so now we're even a little bit more off the midline. We're gonna progressively make it more challenging, but let's pause here. So back knee is down, forearm is on the thigh, left forearm on your right thigh. Right hand is still on your thigh, or you could take it up. That might be a little too unstable. If it is, keep the hand down and just use your judgment here. Good. Last breath, reach up higher with that arm if you're twisting the arm up. And then we're gonna release and bring the hands back down to the blocks. Step that foot back. We'll try that on the other side. And then we're gonna repeat it, try to go a little bit farther. So step the left foot forward. Bring your hands up onto your thigh and find that central channel from your tailbone to the crown of your head. We want everything to stack up. So the more we find that central line, actually it improves our breathing because we have multiple diaphragms through the center of the spine. And if they're not lined up correctly, our breath can't fully descend, our diaphragm can't fully descend. So it's really important to be able to find this central channel. Go ahead, reach your right arm up. Reach it nice and high. And then we're gonna cross the midline and see if we can bring that forearm onto the thigh. And you can keep your left hand down, or you can reach it up into that twist. Yeah, so keep hugging toward the midline with your legs to help you stabilize. And let's hold there one more breath. And then when you're ready, slowly release, hands back down to the blocks and step back. Let's come back to side one, right foot forward. Now you could repeat what we just did, especially if you felt extra wobbly when you went off the midline, or we're gonna progress. So hands up on your thigh, find that nice central channel from your tailbone to the crown of your head. Try to line them up for now. Sometimes that means really drawing the tailbone down a little bit more, lifting the belly more. All right, so this time bring your palms together. And you might stay here on the midline. If you feel really wobbly in your legs, this is probably where you want to stay, or you could do the forearm on the thigh again. Press the palms together, lift up through the crown of your head, inhale. And as you exhale, we're going to twist and see if we can hook the elbow over the knee, coming into prayer twist. And then palms press together. So we find a midline there between our palms. And we hug our inner thighs to help us stabilize. And then we are going to hold here. Let's see if we can hold and find a sense of, how stable we are when we're in the midline. Can we find that here? Last breath. All right, now we'll slowly release, hands down, step back. And let's try that on the other side. Step the foot forward, rise up, hands on the thighs, find your midline. Hug those outer hips in, lift your chest. Bring your palms together, press them together right at the midline. You can always stay here or inhale, and as you exhale, you're gonna hook that elbow over the thigh. And then stay there in the twist, palms pressing together, turn through your rib cage. And see if you can find that same stability in the twist as you have when you're in the center. Use your breath, use your engagement of your outer hips and your inner thighs. Last breath. And then when you're ready, slowly unwind and step back. And then set your blocks forward and come back into tabletop pose. All right, so you can see we're gonna do a lot of twisting today. So twisting takes us off the midline. We're gonna do thread the needle pose next. So we know this one, but we're gonna add on a little challenge today if you feel stable. So we're gonna take the right arm out to the side. I'm gonna do my left so I can still face you. Right arm out to the side and thread it through. Bring your head down to the floor. Now, some of you, it feels better to have a little prop under your head. So grab that little pillow or a blanket if you like. So we've come off the midline with the twist. So that might be enough. Some of you might want to try the next phase, which is to step your left leg out to the side. So now we become less symmetrical. If that feels too unstable, you're going to keep that leg back in. And then you're going to press through your left palm and start to turn your chest open a little bit more toward your left side. And some of you might take the arm up and wrap it behind your back. So that would be your left arm wrapping behind your back. So now we're really possibly unstable because we're off that midline. So come back to safety if you feel too wobbly. Let's take one more breath. And after that next breath, go ahead and release. Press yourself back and step the leg back in if you stepped it out to the side. And let's try our other side. So inhale, left arm out to the side and thread it behind your right arm. Good. Remember, you can stay right here. So find stability first. I'm going to be checking in on you guys. Some of you might want to step that leg out to the side only if you feel stable. Some of you might want to wrap the arm around your back. Yeah, so stay with what feels most stable in your body. Always the most important thing is to be safe. First rule of yoga is non-harming, non-violence toward ourselves, toward others. Sanskrit word called ahimsa. So always protect yourself. Go ahead and release. Hand down, leg back in, and then move back to one more child's pose, and then we're going to come up to do our standing work. All right, if you have a blanket on your mat, you can go ahead and remove that. And then from coming back to tabletop pose, we'll find our way to downward facing dog. So you could walk your hands a little forward, tuck your toes under, lift your hips, and come up to your dog. So once we're in dog, we're back in the midline. We can take a couple moments, pedal your feet out. If you're okay to do a little weight bearing. If not, you could walk your hands to your feet and skip that. Next inhale, let's come into plank pose, top of a push-up, still on the midline. You can drop your knees down, chest forward, and lower all the way down to your belly. Reach back through your toes and your feet. Roll your shoulders back, and we've got a cobra. Again, on the midline. Let's do 2 more cobras, lower down. And inhale, shoulders back, lift your chest. And release, we'll do 1 more round. From here, we're going to press back to our down dog. Tabletop pose is an option, or you can go right to your dog. From here, bend your knees, walk your hands back to your feet, and fold over your legs with a little bend. As you inhale, we're going to come all the way up, reach through your arms, and then release, arms down at your side. Very good. Okay, so stand in your mountain pose. Here's another place where we're very stable, not much risk. We're on the midline. Try to find neutral with your pelvis. So that means the base of your pelvis, so perineum, is facing the ground. So we don't want to tip forward or back, have that neutral pelvis. And then inhale, let's reach the arms up. Exhale, fold forward over your legs. Inhale to a halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, rise up, reach through your arms. And exhale, release. Let's do 2 more rounds. So pretty stable movement pattern. We're on the midline for the most part here. Halfway lift as you're ready. Folding forward as you exhale. And then inhale, the arms reach. And exhale, release arms down. 1 more time. Inhale, reach. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, release. Inhale, reach your arms up. And this time we're going to add a heel raise. Lift your heels off the ground if you can balance. So we're still on the midline, but a little less stable. Okay, arms down, heels down. We're going to add on. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise up, lift your heels. Exhale, bend your knees, chair pose. So chair pose, another midline pose. Press through your heels, tone your lower belly muscles, and try to reach your arms in line with your ears. Good. Exhale, fold forward. We're going to add on a little bit each time. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, rise up, lift your heels. Exhale, keep your arms up, chair pose, heels down. Good. From here, bring your hands together in front of your heart space. Press your palms together. You're still on the midline. Good, and now from here, lower your chest toward your thighs and put your right forearm on your thighs. Put your left hand on your hips. So we're starting in that twist again. Turn towards your left side. Press your right arm into your thighs to help you turn. Take your tailbone back. So your spine should still be on the midline even though we're turning it. So take your tailbone back and your head forward to elongate along that central channel. Good, release, inhale, rise up through center, lift your heels. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees, come into chair pose. Other side, bring your hands together in front of your heart space. Start to lean forward. Bring your left forearm down, right hand onto your hip. Press the hand, or rather forearm into your thighs. Turn towards your right side. And then take your tailbone, just like you're gonna stick your booty out and reach through the crown of your head. Elongate through your spine. Good. Release, inhale, rise up. Lift your heels. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. We're doing it one more time. Exhale, fold. Inhale, chair pose. Bend your knees. Good. Hands in front of your heart. You can repeat what we just did with the forearm, or we're going to try the prayer twist. So inhale, open your chest. Exhale, turn. See if you can hook your elbow over your knee. If you can't, put your forearm down again. Press your palms together and then find the midline. Reach your tailbone back, reach your head forward, and then turn your chest. Hold another breath. And then release. Inhale, reach up, lift your heels. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees, chair pose. Last time. Good. All right, hands in front of your heart, or you can always do the forearm press again. Inhale, open your chest. Lean down and see if you can hook elbow past your knee. That's it. If that's too much, go back to the forearm. Find your midline and lengthen the midline. Press your palms, turn open. Last breath. And then on your next inhale, we'll unwind, reach your arms up, lift your heels, and then release. Stand in your mountain pose, back to safety. Take a couple of breaths. Feel both feet on the ground. Aim your tailbone down. Lift the front of your abdomen up. Lift the crown of the head up. Okay, so now we're going to grab the blocks again. I'm going to put some things together. Put those at the top of your mat. They're not there. And then we're going to step the right foot forward. Step the left foot back a little bit. So we're on the midline, but we're asymmetrical. Okay. So adjust your feet so you feel very stable. So we want that midline to feel really stable. So sometimes that means widening your front foot a little bit, or shortening your stance, or lengthening your stance. Find what feels really stable. And then bring your hands onto the top of your hips, shoulders back. Hug into the midline. So we're engaging our hips, hugging our inner thighs, just like we did in those lunges. But now the legs are straight. Press through your front big toe and your back big toe. Press through your heels. Inhale, and as you exhale, bring a slight bend in your front knee, hinge at your hips, and bring your hands to your blocks. And we want those blocks right under your shoulders. So we're in a pyramid pose, but we're in the halfway up shape. We're not going to fold over the leg just yet. Decide if you feel stable. If not, maybe widen those feet, adjust your feet. And then we're going to hug in again. Hug the inner thighs. We want to feel like your right sit bone is right behind your knee and your ankle. A lot of times our sit bone sways out to the side. Hug it in. Send your tailbone back. Reach your head forward. Find that central channel and lengthen your spine. You can stay here or fold over your front leg. Always keep a little micro bend in that knee and see if you can continue to find a sense of the midline. On your next inhale, come back up to the halfway shape and then bend your front knee, step forward, fold a little bit over your legs, and then we'll inhale and rise up. Exhale, arms down. Okay, let's try that on the other side. So step back, left foot forward, starting in the upright position. So find that footing that you need to feel really stable. Widen if you need to, make your adjustments, and then hands to the top of your hips. Press through your big toes and your heels. Hug your outer hips, inner thighs, and have the shoulders back so the chest is nice and open. Inhale, and as you exhale, slight bend in that front knee, hinge from your hip creases, and bring your hands to your blocks. So we're going to stay here for a couple breaths. Make your adjustments to your feet. Make sure that the left sit bone is behind your knee and your ankle and not swing out to the side. And then from here, lengthen through your tail, reach it back, and reach the crown of the head forward. You can stay working this position, especially if you tend to be tighter in your hamstrings, or you could fold over this front leg for a few breaths, coming into a deeper pyramid pose. Still keeping your awareness to that midline, that fine, fine channel of light in the deepest part of our spine. All right, slowly coming halfway up on your next inhale, bend into your front knee and step forward. You might fold forward if you like. And then we're going to inhale, come all the way up. We're going to repeat that and we're going to add on a twist, of course. So we're going in that direction. Okay, so we're going to step back again. Step your right foot forward. Same setup. Hug your outer hips in, adjust your feet so you feel stable. Big toes, heels, all the good stuff. Inhale, and as you exhale, a little bend in that knee, hinge forward, hands to blocks. Adjust your footing so you feel stable. Pull the sit bone in. Now, you can choose to stay on the midline. That's fine. Otherwise, we're going to try go a little bit further. Take the block that's in your left hand and put it right by your right big toe. And press your hand down into that block. Hug your hips in. Now, if you're still stable, take your right hand to your hip. Yeah, and pin that hip in. Don't let it sway to the side. Find your midline. Tailbone back, head forward. If you're still stable, start to turn. Push into your left hand. Turn your rib cage to your right. So this is a challenging pose. Be careful. Yep. You got to really squeeze those legs together, and you might choose to stay on the midline. Those of you who are stable here, I'm going to give you one more option. Reach your arm up. If you're not stable, keep that hand on your hip. All right, go ahead and release. Both hands to the blocks, back to safety. Bend your front knee and step forward. Fold over your legs. Inhale, we'll rise up. And exhale, let the arms come down. All right, one more side to go, guys, and we're going to bring it down to the floor. So step it back. And then we've got the left foot forward. I'm going to adjust my mat here. Okay, so find your midline, hug in, root through your feet. And then when you're ready, hinge at your hips, bring your hands to your blocks. Make sure those blocks are a direct line under your shoulders, otherwise you'll feel like you're not as stable. Adjust here if you need to. Hug inner thighs, reach your chest forward. Now, block that is in your right hand comes to your left big toe. And already that's slightly asymmetrical. If you want, next stage, bring your left hand onto your hip. Find your midline, reach your tailbone back, chest forward. Next phase, inhale, and as you exhale, start to turn towards your left leg. If that's unstable, stay on the midline. Push through your right palm to help you turn. And then some of you might take the arm and reach it up. If you're unstable, keep the hand on the hip or stay on the midline. Last breath. And then we're going to release if you have your hand up and come back to safety, back to midline. Bend into your front knee and step forward. Set your blocks to the side, widen your feet and come into a forward fold now. Grabbing opposite elbows or big toes. And we're back on the midline. Very good. Get a sense of lengthening your spine here, tractioning your spine, tipping your sit bones and tailbone upward a little bit as you reach your chest and head downward. Root through your feet. Last breath. And then you can either press up or roll up. Be really mindful here as you exit the pose. Use your legs, push through your feet, and we'll come up to stand. Good. All right, from here, we're gonna come down to sit. So grab, if you want, find a pillow to sit on. And we're gonna come into bound angle position. So soles of the feet together, knees apart. We're gonna hold on to shins or ankles wherever we can. Spine is on the midline, the legs are symmetrical, pretty accessible to be in this position. But sometimes we have a little limitation here. The knees are really high, we could stick some props underneath the knees. Okay. All right, so orient to your midline. See if you can find the tops of your sit bones and be on the tops of your sit bones. Sometimes it's helpful to do the little pull the sit bones apart action. And then we can feel more the center of our perineum right on the ground. So we're going to align the pelvic floor with our diaphragm, with our throat, with the crown of the head. And so when we breathe in, the breath comes in through our nose, down through our windpipe, and the diaphragm starts to move down toward our pelvic floor, and we can get a nice full breath. When those areas are not aligned, we're not going to be able to get that full breath. So try this. Rock your sit bones forward, and you're tucking your tailbone under. Let your chest drop, let your head drop. Not like you're coming forward, but you're just kind of in a like not a good posture. And now try to take a full breath. So the breath gets really stuck if we don't align that middle channel. So now line everything up again. Perineum on the ground. Line up your rib cage over your pelvis, your throat, crown of the head, everything aligned. And now try to take a breath here. So you can get a nice fuller breath if we have the spine aligned. Okay, so now you can stay here or come into a forward fold. We're gonna hinge from the hip creases, maybe hold around your feet, maybe come forward. Now, the more we can stay on the midline without too much rounding in the spine, we'll be able to find those deeper breaths. So rather than let your head drop towards your feet and get a really big rounded spine, see if you can find more length in your spine. As you fold forward, we come toward the fronts of our sit bones. So you can kind of feel like you're going to stick your tailbone out behind you and then reach your chest forward. Lower your chin and lengthen the back of your skull. And then we take 2 more breaths right here. All right, on your next inhale, we're gonna slowly start to come up. Keep your right leg where it is, extend your left leg out straight. Good. So keep that foot flex, sit up nice and tall, find your midline. Now you might want your strap here. I got mine back here. You can take your strap around your foot. And then again, find that midline, sit up nice and tall. Press your foot into the strap and pull on it, help you lift and open your chest. All right, so we're pretty symmetrical as far as like the spine goes, but the legs are asymmetrical. I'm gonna take an inhale. As you exhale, find that same bending at the hip crease. Try not to round your spine too much. Walk your hands down your strap or hold your foot if that's available. And then as you inhale, think about tipping your sit bones back, chest forward, and then exhale, hinge from your hip crease and fold forward any amount. If your hamstring feels a little tight, just bend your knee a little bit, lift it away from the ground. And that gives you a little more leeway. Let's hold here another breath. On your next inhale, first draw your belly in and carefully come back up. And then we'll switch sides. We're going to take right leg out, left foot in, or if you did the other side, that's fine too. And we'll take the strap around the foot so we can first sit up nice and tall. Check if we can get that full breath in, then we know we're aligned a little better. So initially we're on the tops of the sit bones. Now, as we start to hinge at the hip crease, we're going to start to come forward, try to keep your spine long. Your sit bones start to tip. So you feel like you're kind of just sticking that tailbone out behind you as you walk your hands down your strap, maybe hold your foot. As you inhale, we're going to lift up through the chest. And as you exhale, folding forward if you like. Remember, you can always bend that knee a little bit. And as you hold here, get a sense of breathing equally into both sides of your rib cage. Last breath. And then we're going to draw the low belly in, and we're going to slowly start to come up. And then we take both legs out straight, back to the midline, shoulders back, coming into, this is called staff pose, Dandasana. Root your thigh bones down, lift your chest up. Just hold there another moment. just in a neutral shape. All right, so from here, we're going to come down onto our backs. We're running out of time. So grab anything you want for your Shavasana. We're not quite there yet, but maybe a pillow for your head, under your knees. If you want to cover with anything or have an eye bag, grab all your accoutrements and we'll come onto our backs. Once you're there, you can go ahead and give your knees a hug into your chest. And just let that lower back settle for a moment. See if you can find that central channel. Just let the knees rest down towards your abdomen. Squeeze them in close. And have a sense of breathing along that midline again. Place your hands on the tops of your shins or your knees. Now, as you inhale, let the knees move away from you till your arms are straight. And as you exhale, pull them back in. Pull your navel toward your spine and squeeze out all the breath. Try that a few more times. Inhale, knees away. There's a slight arch in your back. And then exhale, pull them in, flatten the lower back, squeeze the knees into your chest. And let's do 2 more rounds. Inhale, knees away. Breathe into the belly. Exhale, squeeze, navel to spine, compress. Last round. Inhale, knees away. And exhale, squeeze in. Have a nice long exhalation. And then we're going to let those feet come down to the ground. Take your arms out to a T, widen your feet. I'm sorry about that beeping noise. I think it's my sump pump going off. We're going to rock the knees side to side. All the snow melting keeps setting it off. All right, and then walk those feet back in. We can do one more knee hug. If you want to come into like a happy baby, you could come into a happy baby here. Really send that lower back down toward the ground. So even when you're in your happy baby, try to find that midline. So we don't want the tailbone curling up off the ground. We want it to stay down. So we feel more neutral in our spine. So sometimes that might mean instead of holding your feet, you're going to hold your legs. Let's have another breath here in our happy baby. And then when you're ready, knees in, and you can find your Shavasana. So go ahead, let your legs slide out. Can you guys still hear me? Somebody put a hand in the air. My earbud fell out. Okay, thank you. Sometimes when they fall out, for some reason, they disconnect. So I just always like to check. Okay, so coming into your Shavasana, making any adjustments to your props so that you feel that sense of the midline, back to safety. And let the whole body now drop into the ground. First few moments here, have a sense of breathing along the central channel like we did in the beginning. Inhale from your tailbone to your head and exhale from the head to the tailbone. And then letting go of that visualization of the breath. And we're going to do a guided meditation through the midline of the body. And this is deeply relaxing. Hopefully you won't fall asleep, but if you do, that's okay. Maybe you need it. But try to stay awake and aware. Bring our awareness from the top of the head. We're going to go from the top down, which is more grounding. Notice the top of the head right in the center. So here is a meeting place of many acupressure points. That's why a lot of yogis stand on their heads. They kind of stimulate that acupressure point on the top of the head. And then drop down to the top of your hairline. And going down further to the center of your forehead, the mystical third eye point. This is the area that we access our imagination and our intuition. Going down further to the bridge of your nose, right between your eyes. And then to the tip of your nose. And to that little channel underneath your nose. Travel your awareness over your lips to the little indentation under your lips. And then dropping down to the throat center and the notch between your collarbones. Going down through your heart, let your heart relax. And then down to the center of your top ribs, area of the diaphragm. And then down to your navel center. Keep going downward to the base of the pelvic floor. And now we start to divide into two. So awareness to both legs. Awareness to both of your knees, front and back of your knees. Soften there in the knees. Going down further, notice your two ankle joints, the tops of your feet, and the spaces between your toes. Notice the tips of your toes and the pads of your toes, and then the soles of your feet. Notice your heels, center of your heels on the ground. Feel and sense into this whole midline of the body. The middle is said to be the organizing principle where our intelligence flows. And it's the balance between opposites, between dark and light, sun and moon, masculine, feminine. Central channel is associated with rest and stillness and balance. When we come back to midline, this is the place where we can recharge and nourish ourselves. When we go off the midline, it's associated with asymmetry, with discovery, curiosity, risk, and creativity. So we need both in our lives, but always good to come back to the midline. Recharge and find that sense of stillness. It's often lacking in our lives. Take the next couple moments now to come back to awareness. And you can deepen your breath. Notice how you feel. Starting some smaller movements, fingers and toes. And As you're ready, if you want to make some stretches, hug your knees, you can start to move a little bit and make a pause on your side when you're ready before you come up. And we're going to find a comfortable seat when you're ready. So you might want to sit up on one of your props. And we'll find the midline one last time. So once you arrive seated, have that little rock to pull the sit bones apart and see if you can find yourself right in that central channel. Stack everything up. Lift the back of your skull, let the chin drop just enough that you feel a little lift in the back of your skull. And then we're going to take the hands and cup them with the thumbs touching. And then let that rest down in your lap. And feel the thumbs touch right in that midline. Close your eyes if you like, or find a soft gaze. And let the tongue touch the roof of your mouth. That's part of our midline as well. Tongue on the upper palate. Reach through the crown of your head and then bring awareness to the midbrain. We'll take a couple breaths there. Following that breath through the central channel. Finding that sense of stillness. It helps us recharge our batteries when we sit in stillness and meditation. Let the crown of the head feel light as it reaches upward to that connection to the divine, and let the tailbone descend, giving us our connection to the ground, to the earth. Sensing that pathway to spirit right in the center of our being. Maybe sensing that really subtle little sliver of light in the center of your spine. All right, so from here, let's bring hands together in front of the heart space. Take a nice inhale, and as you exhale, bow your head to your heart. And thank you, everyone. Namaste. All right, guys, thank you for joining me today. Feel free to unmute yourselves and if you have any questions. How'd we do today?
It was a good one.
That was lovely.
Good.
Thank you.
Good. Glad you guys liked it. All right. Well, I will see you guys next week unless there's any questions.
Okay.
All right.
Good
Take
one.
care. Have a good weekend.
Have a
You
very
too.
nice
Bye.
weekend. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Joan, I'll check in with you then later, okay?
Anytime today, you can.
Yeah, we'll text and set up a time. Okay. Bye, guys.